Right, greetings everybody. Welcome to another edition of Balkanizer, in which we are going to look at a bit about, let's say, the economy and a bit about psychology. So my starting point was about um, like a student saying he couldn't get a job. A student of mine, I don't know how old he is, 21, 2, something like that. So what's your experience, Charlie, of people of the sort of in how easy it is to get for young people to get a job, would you say, at the moment?
Well, I suppose my major source of information on that is my students at the university. So
Yes.
these young kids are the fourth year of studies, the final year of studies, and they are already thinking. Well, many of them are actually working, but they're all most of them in the teaching profession. Though a number
Yeah.
of them do go over to human resources and that kind of thing. Um, quite a few of them do their masters on in material sciences and that kind of thing.
Right.
So I think that um, what would I say? I think it's always important to have good connections. I think that's part of the
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. Well, that's it. So my student, he lives in a village. He's not, I guess he's not really connected. Um, Actually comes from a Romanian background. So in this part of Serbia, there's a lot of, you know,
part
part
of
Romanian
ethnic
villages
learning.
which
Yes,
were Romanian. Obviously, they've sort of been Serbianized in a way, but there's still the people keep the language and they still have their traditions and so
of course. Yes.
on. But basically, far his father works in the school, but also farms. But the farming is very hard to
Mhm.
make anything from because I think the chief problem is the price of grain is fixed by the government, and you just
Yeah.
it's just ridiculous.
But this is something I hear as well. Is I do have a number of students who come from agricultural families. Most of them actually from the northern part of Serbia rather than the
Yes,
south.
yeah.
And yes, their reports are pretty bleak on the
Yes,
whole. There's
yes. Well, that's it. That's it. I mean, it's just most years, you get like a few break even,
Mhm.
some pretty bad losses, and you get one, they're making a profit once in every 5 years or 6 years or something like that.
Everyone complains bitterly about the middlemen, the ones who
Yeah,
are
well, that's it. That's it.
who
So,
buy from the farm gate and then um, sell on usually into Europe at a. Actually, yes, I often have a lot of a number of families have had who are a number of students have had whose families are in the raspberry growing business.
oh,
And
yes.
that's more in the south of Serbia,
Yeah.
or south of Belgrade anyway, so central Serbia.
Central. Yeah. Yeah.
And yeah, I mean, it seems that there we see extractive processes going on all over the place. So the best agricultural produce, um, whether it's soft fruits, it seems to go to the European Union.
Yes.
Um, there was a period where there was quite a lot of Russian involvement in the fruit business around Dubona and Mladenovac. That's there. Um, a lot of there are a number of pieces of land which were sold to Russians at one
Uh-huh.
stage,
Really.
and a lot of people exported their fruit to Russia. Now, quite what's happened with that now, I, but one gets the feeling that all the way along there's this near colonial thread to it all. Um,
Well, I mean,
Stuff is
yeah, I mean,
exported,
that's right. And
stuff
and
is
then you've
sold to
got
the
these sort
local
of
population at a high markup.
well, that's it. And then you've got these geopolitical factors like the sanctions, sanctions on
Yes,
these American sanctions on NIS, which is the Serbian oil company.
yeah.
And the effect is that the refinery in Pančevo here has been closed down. I mean, I don't know if it's completely, if nobody's working there at all, or I don't know. But I mean, that's the major employer. And there's a chemical
That'll
plant
hit
next.
Pancheva very badly, won't it? Yeah, I
Well,
mean,
yeah, that's it.
basically
So
the the power.
and also there's a sort of car components factory, and somehow that's been hit by sanctions. That's a German company, but that's also been hit by sanctions. So, so somebody who doesn't have much of a background, I mean, what he told me, he worked for Bennu. Is it no? What's not Bennu? What's that Chinese company? Temu. Is it Temu?
Temu, yes,
Yeah.
yes. Mhm.
So he was like uh, customer service, for that. For Romania because he can speak Romanian. So he
Ah,
had a job
right,
in
yes.
Belgrade. It was paid above average,
Hmm.
because of its language skill.
Yeah.
Um, but he had to catch the bus, right, early in the morning. It was like basically he would have a 13, 14-hour day.
Yeah.
Um, and somehow he just couldn't keep this up, especially when it was the evening shift or something like that.
I think
So,
this is another element, the Serbian economy. It is so Belgrade
yes,
centered
yes.
that, and this is something that my students report as well.
Oh, really?
You can't really hope to get a decent job unless it's um, in the capital city. So,
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
well,
yeah.
and Novi Sad now we have better rail links and so on, so it is quite possible to commute from Novi Sad to Belgrade, and a
Yes.
number who do that. I was just hearing about a student who had I think it's a sister who is doing that. Although she's doing it, she's 28 years old,
Yes.
the prime of life, pulling down a decent salary and so on, but she still can't really afford to rent in Belgrade. So it makes much more sense for her to commute from Novgorod, where
Yeah,
it
well, that's it. That's it. I mean, it's
is
yeah.
cheaper.
I mean, like from here, it's about 150 euros a month to commute from here,
Yeah, yeah.
which is a lot less than rent. So
Mhm.
sort of makes sense. But basically, I mean, so the reason here, why have I got this thing up about this big copper mine in Bor in the east of Serbia, is because it's just something which is, you know, it's a big part of the Serbian economy. It's actually business, it's actually money and things are happening. There's all sorts of, negative sides of this.
Yeah.
Um, but I was just looking for something where, something's happening, where there is an economy, there is money and real business
Well, they're
activity.
impressive figures, aren't they? I mean, 3% of GDP, six
Yeah,
thousand
that's right. I
workers.
mean, a lot
It's
of,
a
that's
huge thing.
right. Um, so but yeah, I mean, because for a nation to survive, it needs some sort of economy, it needs
Well, this is
really industrial activity, doesn't it?
mhm. in
Um,
in some ways, Serbia is ideally situated to be a bridge between East and West.
yes,
Yeah,
yeah,
um, but obviously, there's been a period where we've got of different investment strategies. Another one of the big Vucic investments, of course, is the Belgrade waterfront here
yes,
near where I'm living. It's a huge project. Um, Still, it's a little mysterious to me about who is actually going to live there, but
yes,
it is clearly some kind of almost a quasi-independent settlement in the heart of Belgrade. Um, and I think it is essentially it's a termination of one of the routes of the Silk Road. The connection which will join um, the west of the
hmm
continent with the rest of Eurasia. Um, but there are these are the natural economic ties
yes,
will work in that way. Yeah, so we had um, gas pipeline running through Serbia. Um, this is another big thing. That's the Turk Stream, the South Stream, so called. Um, there's huge investment in that. But now, well, some of the gas is perhaps from the Central Asian republics and so on. But I think that again is inevitably going to be affected by um, the political strategies of Europe. So
Well,
they
that's
are,
it. That's it. So yeah, it just seems very hard for things to get off the ground. When suddenly like a town like Panchvo, its main industry is just taken away,
yeah,
just
yeah,
by a stroke of a
yeah,
pen. You don't need to drop a single bomb. You
hmm
just, it's something to do with the banking. It's some sort of indirect thing. I did some research on it, and it's like the banks don't have the American banks don't let them the bank here, do business, have access to funds or whatever it is. So it's not
yes.
like a direct thing, but it's absolutely effective in stopping business.
Well, they've been scraping the bottom of the barrel for ways to sanction Russia for a long time now, I
Yes.
think.
Yeah.
And direct sanctions have proved ineffective in destabilizing the current political system in Russia. So they're now moving towards trying to impose indirect sanctions, sanctioning companies that do business with Russia
Yeah.
rather than
Yeah.
sanctioning Russian companies direct. So I think it's having a big impact in India and so on. But India is a much bigger economy, so they have much more room to maneuver
Yes.
than little
Yeah.
Serbia. But yeah, I naively turned up at a Nafta Industria Serbia petrol station, a Nice petrol station, relatively recently, and tried to pay with my Visa bank
Of
card
course.
and
Yeah.
couldn't. But they're still selling fuel at that stage. I don't know what's happened with the fuel supply at these
Well, I guess
petrol stations.
they're just using imported fuel. I mean, they're like everybody else, like all
I
the other
guess
stations. Yeah, yeah, or whatever. So yeah, I mean, they can carry on as petrol stations, but they're not producing their
it's a
own.
refinery. Yeah.
That's right. That's right. So,
Yeah, yeah, Chinese investment there.
so there you go. Chinese investment, a lot of money. Copper is like big, in the future because of all. I think there's a world copper shortage. Um,
Well,
so
this is another fascinating process that's going on. I think in myself, I feel that it's positive. The return of real stuff. Commodity prices have been um, repressed, I think, for a
yes,
very long
yeah,
time. At least
yeah.
their dollar
Oh
prices.
yeah, no doubt about it. Especially the money, gold, silver. Um,
Yes, yes. Well, this is
you know,
the big one now. This breakout of silver, which
yes,
seems to be the finally the physical metal rather than the paper market, which piggybacks on the top of that with
yes.
these silver futures trading.
Well, that's
Um,
it. That's it. So that's been
seems
suppressed
to be breaking.
by the market, because silver, real money. I mean, gold, silver, and copper are in fact real money. Apparently, there's some law in the Roman Empire of Justinian or something. It hasn't been repealed. That money is gold, silver, and copper.
Yes,
Um,
yes.
but the banking system doesn't like that so much. So they've deliberately, for decades, they've been holding down the price of silver with these, futures contracts and so on. But
But in
it
many
just,
ways, essentially, I don't like it either. And theoretically, I think that um, money really should be an expression of our own personal liability, our own and reliability.
right.
Ideally we should be um, um, able, in a sense, to issue our own currency. In the sense that, well, I produce an IOU and give it to you, and then it becomes a currency that's claimable on my integrity.
Right.
That to me makes quite a lot of sense. But it is a fundamental tension in the whole concept of money, isn't it? That um, gold and silver are so dependable, but they are also so easily stolen and
Well, that's it. But money is not some
extracted
part
by
of money that
force.
you can lose it. I mean, I think
Yeah,
it's sort of, um,
but essentially, if the money is an expression of my personal integrity, then it becomes impossible to steal. And I think that in some ways this is what they're trying to do with their central bank digital currencies. But the problem there is that we the people don't have control over, don't have insight into how the money is spent. It's the private banks that have insight into how the money is spent, and that I think is the key difference. I would like to see a currency system full insight into uh, what transactions are actually taking place. Then I think we'd see the full extent of the criminal enterprise, which is world governance.
Well, yeah, scary subject,
But
but
anyway, I'm getting a little bit too theoretical, perhaps. I mean,
okay. Well, let's move on to the next topic. Hold on, I just gotta look in. So this is. So what did I say? I mean, I asked ChatGPT. I said, develop this thought. Modern motivational and popular psychology aims to optimize outlook and self-discipline in order to maximize achievement, improving quality and quantity of the achieved thing. Whereas Orthodox spirituality is centered on preserving the grace of baptism and is therefore defensive, more defensive and less expansive. Um, so, okay, I mean, ChatGPT tends to agree with you and then expand, but
mhm,
um, so what do we think about this? And I think before we started recording, we were talking about how we do have this sort of innate need, if you like, to make progress, to achieve things and stuff. So definitely, I'm not here demeaning this is what one would call maybe popular psychology, which is this whole thing of, mental hygiene and better ordering your approach to life so that you can achieve things. But at the same time, we have the Orthodox spirituality, which is that we're preserving something, we're protecting this grace that is given to us in baptism. Um, and that's a different dynamic altogether. And so, yeah, I guess it was just about these two things, how we keep these two things going in parallel.
yeah, yeah. Um, yes, I was thinking of it in the context of the fast as well. I mean,
Yes,
so many of these self-help gurus today recommend periods of fasting
yes,
to optimize health,
yes.
and to give you those benefits of greater longevity and you know and so on, to potential
Yeah, well,
to
that's it. I mean, before I became
mitigate.
Orthodox, I used to fast
Mm.
for health, simply that. It was just a
Yeah.
matter of cleaning out, detoxing, and so on. Um, but in
But
fact,
what would you say is the intention behind the Orthodox fast?
well, I mean, it's some sort of, I think there are various factors behind it, but there is,
Mhm.
it is a self-affliction. It's sort of, it's actually, a cross. It's something going against nature, against comfort,
Mhm.
and that's actually part of Orthodox spirituality is that you do stuff you don't want. I mean, the
Yes.
fathers talk about voluntary and involuntary sufferings, so
Mhm.
if we don't afflict ourselves in any way, then God allows in his providence things to happen to us, which are afflictions, and that sort of humbles us and brings us down and brings us closer to God, maybe.
Yeah.
Or
Yeah.
should do.
Mhm.
But fasting is a sort of voluntary way of doing that. And I think it's certainly not, Orthodox fasting is certainly not detox. That's not the
No.
reason that it was
It might be a,
invented.
a byproduct to a degree, but it's
Yeah, but it is a byproduct. That's right. And it is an element, that I mean, they often say, you should eat, the whole thing of food. I mean, the very act of eating, the whole ruin of the human race was
mm,
brought about by eating. It
yes,
was
yes. Mhm.
so, and it's the source of great evils even now when people eat too much. Eating is such a focus of life
Mhm. Yeah,
that
yeah.
it goes against spiritual welfare. Um,
It's again something that comes up in so many spiritual traditions, isn't it? This idea that one must limit desire, which flies in the face very much of the whole process of maximizing your ability optimization of
Yes,
body and
yes,
mind for what? For success, for the pursuit of
yes,
goals, for the fulfillment of earthly desires.
yes.
Um, so again, there's a complex um, interaction going on there, isn't there?
Well, that's it. That's it. So, yeah, I think, and fasting also it affects your ability to work as well. If you fast seriously,
Yes,
you
yes,
can't do so much work. I mean, it's that simple.
yeah.
Um,
Yes, well, I remember you were complaining you're feeling tired and worn out towards the end of last year,
yes,
and I assumed that the fast was a part of that feeling. You had to do an awful lot of work on much less um, fuel than you were
that's right. Yeah, I mean, that's it. That's
normally.
it. I mean, and if you look at the fathers, they damaged their health. They
Yes.
died early. If you look,
Mhm.
St. John Chrysostom, St. Basil the Great, or whatever, I mean, it's generally you often find that in the life. It says, well, his health was damaged by, his condition because of his constant fasting. So
Right.
they weren't prolonging their life, by doing this.
Mhm.
But I mean, okay, but I think, come back to our context. I don't think we're called to do that. Um, in a let's say an extreme way.
Yeah, yeah.
But certainly, yeah, I mean, it's this element of denial of this world, that this
Hmm.
world is just a passing and broken order,
Yeah.
and we need to be concentrating on the next. And that really is the key point, I think. And it's it's the message of the gospel, isn't it, really, that this world is passing away, are you preparing for the next?
Yes.
Um, and a sort of false spirituality which has sort of crept in, especially in the 20th century, especially as this idea of, the social gospel of, um, you know, improving the world. You could even say that Marxism is a sort of heresy, the idea that of heaven
Yeah.
on earth, of some perfect
Hmm.
order of things here.
Well, it very much has that idea, I think. Yeah.
Um, so it's interesting that Orthodoxy has preserved this, you know, this whole thing. That Orthodoxy, it's a sort of invitation to poverty in a way because
Yeah.
you just fast and then if you go to all the services of worship, when do you do any work? Kind
Yeah.
of thing.
Yeah. Hmm.
Um, so, but the reality, of course, those of us who choose like the married life, we have to work, we have to find ways forward.
Provide at least a modicum of security for our families. Yeah.
Well, that's it.
Yeah.
That's right. I mean, again, it says in the Bible, he who doesn't provide for his family is worse than an infidel. So, we're under that directive.
Yeah.
So we have to moderate. Obviously, we're not monks. We're not in monasteries. Um, so we have to find ways ahead, and just finding the right, what's
Which
realistic.
means that this process of optimization will inevitably be important to
Well, it
us.
is. So, yeah. So that's it. We're definitely in that. I think, it's a
Yeah.
natural thing. It's of the order of the world, isn't it? To yeah, become more efficient, optimize. And then that comes down to this issue of, or brings us to that point of, you know, doing something you identify with, that you want to do, that you feel is
Yeah.
worthwhile. Because so much work, paid work, is not that, isn't it? I mean, it's just
Yeah. Drudgery. Yeah.
many jobs have just developed for some artificial reason. And so people are doing something which is not fulfilling, and they look at the fruit of it and they don't, it's
There's
not
a lot of
so.
talk, isn't there, of finding your purpose? What is it
Yes,
you placed on earth to do? I mean, this
yes,
is said in a completely secular context very frequently. Well,
yes,
highly secular, but it's certainly not limited it's certainly not on the face of it a Christian imperative. Um, but yes, I mean, I suppose, yeah, the idea of service is important
well,
in
yeah, I mean,
we.
I think, talents. I mean, the Bible talks about talents. You have some talents and you have to make use of these talents.
Hmm. Yeah. Hmm.
So, I think that, this struggle to find one's vocation and something.
Is there an ethological connection between the talent that we have, our skills, our talents,
Well, yeah,
and the
that's right, because
talent
a talent
as
is
a measure of gold
it's
or
a measure of
silver?
gold. And so in the parable, it's about, they had a certain different measures of gold
Yeah.
and how they, or treasure or money or whatever it was, and how
Hmm.
they used it. And one of the people who got it, he took it and he made five more talents by trading, and another two he did, he also profited and created and produced more talents. And then there was
Yes.
one who hid it, wrapped it in a napkin and hid it away,
Yeah.
and he was condemned, and the Lord said to him, "You could have taken it to the bankers and got interest." you know. So
Hmm.
very
Hmm.
interesting, sort of drawing on these worldly things, which are sort of, all usury is actually condemned in the Bible elsewhere, but
Yeah.
it's just this idea of, in the world that you do something, you achieve something.
Hmm.
Um,
Yes,
so
and it's a sin then to take your talents out of the economy and to hide them and to
Well, that's right, and Jesus
fail to
said,
develop them.
"Let
Yeah.
your light shine before men," so that we should be, you know, doing good stuff in front of the
Yeah.
people, with the people, whatever.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
but again, that's a challenge, and we were talking about this before, weren't we, about this sort of compromise. We make compromises
Yeah.
to earn our living, and then some of them, we have to move on from them. Some of them we stay with, even though we wouldn't want to. But then there's all the whole point of effort and risk to sort of improve one's
Hmm.
situation.
Then there's the idea, isn't there, of what we would call, in modern context, improving mental health, and
Yes.
then the spiritual imperative to improve your spiritual health. Yeah, and to the materialist psychologist, um, the practice of the hermit
Yes.
doesn't look particularly mentally healthy, I would have thought.
Well, that's right. Yes. And I think the hermit, I mean, even with an Orthodox tradition, the hermit, it's a very definite calling, and it needs to be
Mhm.
blessed by, a spiritual father. And
Yeah,
really, it's in connection with a monastery, but somebody moves up from a monastery, or a monastic community anyway, that they sort of move out from there. Um, but just to do it in a completely sort of independent way, um,
yeah,
I mean, obviously the first, like Anthony the Great or whatever, it works with great saints, but
yes.
but most people, it's
It's
you know,
another path
but it is,
to pride
it's a
and
path
yeah,
it's a path. It's certainly approved in the church, and because that their prayers and their sacrifice is something. It's an action for the world and for the body of Christ. So um, that's interesting, isn't it? But that's completely the opposite of this whole achieve paradigm.
yes, yeah, hmm, yes, and quite what the ultimate goal of the psychological uh, process of self-inquiry is. I don't know. It's, I suppose, just to become more functional in the world,
Well, that's
whatever
right. So
that might mean.
I would say that um, the point of that for a Christian is we have we have obligations in the world. We have a family we have to support, the house to keep going. We have, and the church, even the church, the physical building of
Yes.
the church. So that is this world order. And so we need to function in that world. And that's something that, we have to find our way to make a living and generate money and so on to do these things.
Yeah.
But at the same time, you have this ascetic tradition, which is saying, yes, but ultimately you have to realize your union, you have to unite with God. You have this process of theosis, which
Yeah.
is about, repentance, humility, prayer, ascetic practice, and this concentration, this whole hesychastic thing.
Hmm.
is to concentrate on the heart and prayer, pure prayer, direct prayer to God. And to see the light of God and to experience the grace of God in a deeper and deeper way. And that's a true riches, you know. So
Yeah,
we
yeah,
should be cultivating that alongside our, daily bread,
yeah.
working on that.
Yes, we come back again to the young rich man who asked Jesus what he should do with his wealth, and
Yes,
Jesus told him to give it to the poor and follow me.
yes, yes,
There is a secular equivalent to that, isn't there? There's um, the idea of the Gauguin figure who gives up, who finds it impossible to live in the world uh, the secular world of Paris, and jacks
yes.
it all and flees to the Tahiti or whatever it was for a
Oh,
life
yes,
of
yes, yes,
painting
yes,
and uh, artistic expression, and
yes.
um, quite a dissolute life as well, I imagine. But
Right.
anyway, there is that, isn't there? There's the secular equivalent of just just throwing it all over and
Yeah, that's
disappearing.
right. Yeah, yeah, that's right. Sort of dropping out, I suppose, isn't
Yeah,
it? Yeah,
yes, exactly. Yes, yeah, yeah,
yeah, yeah, yeah. But that's right. The Orthodox way is centered again on
yeah,
this theosis, this goal of experiencing God. But
yeah,
yeah, but it seems most of us have it's that thing, that to what extent we have to find the balance of how much time we spent, making money, let's put it that way, and how much time we spend praying,
yeah,
and
yeah.
and
And
indeed,
refining the quality of how it is that we make our money. Yeah,
yeah, that's right, and that was it. That's another one, isn't it? That's it. Yeah. So it's not. It's actually, I think the making the money needs to be improved always.
hmm, yeah, yeah,
There's some demand in us for that, isn't there?
yeah, yeah.
Our conscience is telling us that.
Making the money and managing it more effectively. Yes,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah, that how to do it in a way which is more advances the kingdom of God more. I mean,
Hmm.
if you're
Yeah,
running a
yeah.
casino, it's not the same as publishing
Mhm.
useful literature, is it? I mean, these are different. One of them
Yeah,
obviously is closer to God's will than the other. And that basic principle is something it's every day we're fighting that battle, I think.
yeah. Particularly the day today, and particularly for young men who are presented with um, figures who are worldly successful, but spiritually bankrupt. Right?
Yeah, that's right.
So many of these influences
Yeah.
offer.
Well, that's it. That's it. So ultimately, I mean, the whole of modern culture, I mean, really, in so much as it denies Christ implicitly, doesn't it? Because it doesn't, where is it mentioned? You think about the great achievements of culture,
Mhm.
wonderful music, but it has no reference to God or Christ. So where does that leave it? I don't know. I mean, I like some of this music. I grew up with some of it, but I think, well, what, it doesn't acknowledge Christ in the flesh that he came, that that the whole world is in sin, but he is the solution to that.
Yeah.
Um, so there's all sorts of questions there, I think, about you know,
Well, that brings us to the idea of ultimate goals, doesn't it? Ultimate goals in the world, and um, suppose it is a question for many people. What is the ultimate goal that Christianity is offering to mankind? What is it that we are um, working towards? Is
yeah,
there a kind of
that's it. It
um,
just seems
a
ultimately it's the salvation
civilizational
of the soul,
path?
isn't it? I mean, it's basically about when we die. going to the right place, isn't it? I mean, being in a
Yeah,
condition now where we are at peace with God and our neighbor, as far as that's possible. But it's like when we die, we have this process of judgment. We have to pass through, the toll houses, the spirits in the of the air. This is what the fathers say. They're constantly saying, you prepare for death, think of the day of your death. Um, so everything else is relative to that, really.
yeah,
Jesus said, "My
yeah,
kingdom is not of this world." So cultivating the benefits of this world is just so that we have the energy to save our souls. We have the opportunity to
yeah,
save our
yeah.
souls. I mean, if we don't work, then we're going to starve, and then we can't save our soul, can we?
And the
You know.
salvation of one soul is then equivalent to the salvation of the entirety of humanity in a way.
Well, yeah, that's it. That's what they say, isn't it? If you save your own soul, you save others with you. It's like um, so we have to cultivate that. And although it's not a selfish thing because
Mm.
you save yourself, it's like the one on the airplane, isn't it? You get your own oxygen mask on, and then you can help
Yeah,
others.
yeah. Mhm.
Um,
But in the early church, isn't am I correct in saying that that's with St. Paul did actually expect Jesus to be returning quite soon. There was an
yes,
expectation
I
that
think
the
the return
second
of Christ is
coming.
imminent, but it's he didn't put a date on it. He didn't
No,
put a
no.
date on, but it's the spirit of he's coming. He's
Hmm.
coming, and when you die, that's the same. It's
It's an
ultimately the same
sense
thing.
of imminence, but it is not directly connected to time at all. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Um, so it's just that urgency and that
Yes, yes, I see. Hmm.
preeminence of the task. But that's the key thing, that we
Um,
retain our peace with God and that we do what He wants, what pleases Him, and that our life is focused around that. And that we're ready. We feel a sense of, fathers say that to feel we can face death with calmness. Um, that's a key question. We have to ask ourselves every day. And
yeah,
the prayer we
yeah.
say in the Compline, there's a prayer we say every day to the Mother of God, and it says keep far the evil, the countenance of demons. So that in the hour of my departure, what is it? The hour of my departure to drive far from the evil countenance of demons or something like that, so that we're ready. And then in the day of judgment to deliver me from eternal torment. So that's a prayer. Um, so it starts with that like inner reality, but then obviously that has all sorts of implications in our daily lives that we're helping others. We're thinking of the interest of others all the time.
Yeah, yeah.
Uh,
Yes, it's quite a demanding program in many ways.
yeah, well,
Well,
that's it. Precisely.
yeah. Mhm.
Precisely. Well, we will leave our dear listeners, viewers, whoever they are, with these
Yes.
thoughts, and look forward to seeing everyone on the next video. And we'll just close it there.